Hey guys, it's Josie, and today I'm going to be showing you how to sew an invisible hem. This is good for formal wear or costumes, and in my case, I'm going to be doing a prom dress, so let's just get right into the video. To sew an invisible hem, you'll need some thread, a sewing needle, a pair of scissors, and then I also have this tool that helps pull the thread through the needle because I do double up my thread. So I wanted to make sure that I could get it through well enough. And I also pinned along the bottom here to know how much to take off. So I actually used two different colors of thread. One matches the color of the dress better, and one matches the color of the original thread that hemmed the bottom. So I just decided to combine those two on an empty spool that I had to make it a little bit easier. And also I double up my thread anyway when I hand sew, so just having it doubled up on the spool already was very helpful and it made the process go a lot faster. I did end up doing a lot more than I needed to, but I just was worried about running out of the thread, so here I filled up the spool pretty well. Then I went ahead and sewed a hem along the bottom of the dress. And this is not an invisible hem, this is just to make it look like how the original hem on the dress did, and it's not perfect, but it still works because this fabric is super sparkly and you won't even notice. But the back piece is falling down behind it, and so this is where we're going to be sewing the invisible hem so that that piece isn't falling down like that. And it's just up like this. You can see this part I already did the invisible hem on, so that is why it's staying up in the back and not falling down. So this is what the invisible hem will look like on the outside. You can't even see it, you can't even tell there's a second hem there, and that is because of how tiny we're going to be making the stitches. So I went ahead and threaded my sewing needle, and then I'm just going to find where I left off beforehand, which I started on this so that I could show you guys before we started that you won't be able to see it when we're done. So just going up through the fabric, we're going to go through all of the layers of fabric, and you want to try not to bunch up the fabric or else you will be able to tell there's a seam there. And then we're just going to make the tiniest stitch through all the layers of fabric, so going back through almost directly where we just came up through the fabric, we're gonna make a super tiny stitch all the way through all the layers, and this will create our invisible hem. So once you pull the thread all the way through, we're now going to go on the back side and we're going to sew 2 to 3 stitches on the back side, so they're not going to go through that top layer of fabric that everyone can see. They're just going to be back here through the back. So I like to go ahead and do 2 sometimes and 3 other times, just to keep the length between the stitches spread out more. So it's not really necessary to do that, but I just went ahead and switched between 2 between the stitch and 3 between the stitch. So again, we're not going through the very top layer of fabric, we're just going through the back piece here so that we have the tiny stitches on the outside creating the invisible hem, and we have the bigger stitches in the back where they won't be able to be seen unless obviously you turn the garment inside out. Once we make 2 to 3 stitches across here on the inside, we're going to go ahead and start another stitch, but this time we're going to go through all the layers of fabric like we did in the beginning, and we're just going to make a super tiny stitch in the fabric so that it can't be seen, and then we're just going to repeat that process until we are completely done with the dress. once we're almost out of thread, we're going to go ahead and make one more tiny stitch on the outside, and then we're going to flip it back so that we can sew a knot in the thread so that it doesn't come apart. And I like to do 3 little knots, but you could do however many you want to make it feel secure to you. So just going through the back side of the fabric again, not through all the layers, just the back piece. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the 3 knots that I do, and then we will be done. Now that we've sewn our invisible hem, you can't see it from the outside at all, and you just want to make sure of this because you can go back and redo it. So again, you can only see the bottom seam that I did to match the original hem of the dress, but you can't see the invisible hem that I have sewn around. And I'm just going to finish doing the rest of this off camera because it is the same process just over and over again. And then here is a different angle of the dress, so you can see the bottom seam, but you can't see the invisible seam that has been sewn in. There is like a couple little dots you could probably point out if you look really close like I am here, but they won't pick up on camera, and obviously anybody who is farther away from the dress isn't going to see them at all. You can barely see them when you're this close. So that is how you sew an invisible hem. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, you can like and subscribe down below, or leave a comment on what you want to see next, and have a nice day!